I will first finish the proof of the structure theorem that I began in my last talk. So recall that we wanted to show that E4, E6 is a basis for MK. Okay, so we want to show that the set E4, E6, E4 to the R, E6 to the S, with RS in some set, the set of the integers such that 4R plus 6S is equal to K. We want to show that this is the basis of MK. And I began last time to show that this is a free family. And for this, I told you that we will proceed by induction. And we will consider a linear relation between those functions. Say like this, sum of lambda RS, E4 to the R, E6 to the S equal to 0. And we want to show that lambda are all 0. Okay, and we can separate this sum in two subsums. The sum for which S is equal to 0. Okay, and a sum where S is not 0. Okay, S equal to 0, this happens only if. So you want to show that, you want an R such that 4R is equal to K. So this happens only if K is equal to 0 mod 4. This can happen only in this case, and there is only one value for R in this case. Okay? So you get, so I can just erase this sum and just write one such term under the form lambda K over 4, E4 to the K to the 4. And this happens only in the case K is a multiple of 4. And there are the other cases that I still write like this. Okay, so if you can see that if I evaluate this term in Y, I get that this term vanishes because there is at least E6 in this part, and E6 of Y is equal to 0. Okay, so you get 0 here, and you have only maybe one term in the case of K is multiple of 4. So you have only one term like this. Okay? But this is not 0. This is a result we saw together. So you get lambda K over 4 is equal to 0. Okay? For the moment, we didn't use any induction. We just showed that if K is a multiple of 4, then the only term we get here is 0. Okay? So let's now proceed by induction. In the case of K is equal, so this shows in particular that if K is equal to 4, we have the result. Okay? We showed the linear independence of what we wanted. And now, if K is greater than or equal to 6, we will show the result by induction, evaluating this sum at rho. And this time, we get that this term will vanish at rho, and we will have only this term. So we have sum. So recall that E4 of rho is equal to 0. So we obtain the sum of Rs with S non-zero of lambda Rs E6 to the S is equal in a row is equal to 0. Guess. Oh, this is because okay, I made that only to show the first the result for k equal to 6. Sorry. So here I will begin to use an induction. So I just initiate the induction, okay, considering the case where k is equal to 6. So in the case where k is equal to 6, you have, since you want something like this, okay, you just have r equals 0 and s equal 1. So you just have one term in this sum. Sorry, I make okay, so you get only one term in this part, and for the same reason, since E6 is not E6 of rho is not 0, you get lambda 0, 1 is equal to 0. So this is actually lambda 0, 1. Okay? And now for k greater than 6, we proceed by induction. We first show, like before, that if k is a multiple of 4, we get the term lambda k over 4 equal to 0. It was lambda k over 4, 0, and here also, okay? So you have a sum like this now, over S, Rs with S non-zero of lambda r like this. And now since S is bigger than 1, I can put E6 as a factor, so you get this. Okay, and you proceed then by induction. Okay, so this showed you the freeness, the linear independency of this family. And now I will prove that it spans the space of modular form. Also by using an induction process. Can I erase here? Okay. So I take a modular form, F, and I want to show that this is a linear combination of such functions. So let F in MK. Okay, maybe I can just first say that for K lower than 3, you have nothing to show because the space is it's 0 or constant. Okay, so you have. So this is true in this case. And if K greater, so now we suppose that K is greater than 4. And in this case, I will use an induction, and what I will do, I want to show that MK, F, is some linear combination of those functions. And I will use the fact that, Sk is equal to M k minus 12 times delta. Okay, we show that. This is an isomorphism. So I will lose the weight with this result. Okay? So for that, I consider, so f is not in Sk, but I will put it in Sk by, I don't know how to say that, but by, okay. Okay, let me do it. I will just vanish, I will do something to have first coefficient 0 in the Q expansion. Okay, so I take this, I want to okay, so I will take some, let Rs in Fk. This does exist because you did the exercise corresponding to this, okay? Because k is greater than 4. And if you consider this and you look at the term at infinity, this is 0 since E4 of infinity is equal to E6 to infinity is equal to 1. Okay, so this is an element of Sk. This means that there exists a J in Mk minus 12 such that f minus f infinity, such that f is equal to f infinity E4 to the R E6 to the S plus delta times G. Okay? And now, using an induction, the induction hypothesis, this is a linear combination of E4, E6, delta also by definition, so you get the result. Okay? Of E4, R, E6, S. Same for this. And if you just write in detail this, you get exactly the result with the good relation for the power here. I mean that you want some power in Fk, okay? But you just write the detail by yourself, but this is the idea of the proof. Okay, and it ends the proof of the structure theorem that we saw last time. Okay, alors now in this session, I wanted to focus on some Q expansions. And mainly on the Q expansion of Eisenstein series. So this is part 2, Q expansions. So we will see Q expansion of Eisenstein series, and we also will give you a formula, a product formula for delta, the discriminant function. Okay, so for all this, I won't detail all the convergent property we need. So I can give you some reference for this. There is a good I find that this reference is good for convergence results. So there are, obviously there are plenty of reference for that, but in the book of Cohen, I don't remember the, sorry. Valerio, what is the other name? Sorry? Attends, I have it here. Stromberg. Okay. Okay, I am so ashamed, and it is recorded, so. Okay, so this is a book of Cohen-Stromberg called Modular Form, a Classical Approach. Okay, maybe I can just give you all the references. But there are plenty of them, but some references classical. So this is an almost new book. I find it useful, and it's elementary, so you can read it without difficulty. There is also the famous book of Serre, Serre Arithmetic. It is translated in English, so you can read it also. There is a book of Zagier called 1, 2, 3 of the 1, 2, 3 of modular forms. And there is a book of Diamond and Schurman, which treats the case of modular form for all congruent subgroups. So maybe some parts are more technical. And also, I want to point out some notes of Bass-Edix events of the year 2009, maybe in September. And if I recall well, it was September 7 and 14 that are maybe the more coherent for you. And I cite those notes because the proof I will give of the Q expansion of the Eisenstein series has been explained by me, has been explained by Bass to me. Okay, so I will give this proof. So I will give the Q expansion of EK and GK. So the result is like this, theorem. Let K bigger than, larger than 4, then EK of Z is equal to 1 minus 2K over BK of sum for n greater than 1 of sigma k minus n of 1 of n, q to the n. This is just the sum of the divisor of n to the power k minus 1. So maybe I can write it. Sigma r of n is the sum of dr for d dividing n. And this is the Bernoulli number. And I will recall the definition later, but you maybe have already seen that I put an exercise on those numbers just to recall you what they are. Okay. So I repeat that the proof I will give is slightly less classical than the proof that you will find in the books. But I will explain the classical proof just in the end of the proof. And this proof is due to Bass. I didn't find it in a book. It just explained me this during the talk, during the school. And you can find it in the notes of maybe 14 September 2009. You can find it on his web page, okay? And maybe I can put the link on the web page of the school. Okay, so let's look at GK. Remember that GK is a double sum for Mn, different from 0, 0. So I will put sometimes a prime here to say that Mn are integer but different from 0, 0. And this is the sum of Mz plus n to the k. And as we saw, this converges uniformly on every compact. Okay? So this defines a nullomorphic function on the upper of plane. And we can separate the term where m is equal to 0 and the other term. If I do it, I have a term where n is in Z, and maybe I recall that here m is equal to 0. And you get a term like this, plus, so maybe here, for the moment, k is greater than 4, and plus a sum. Okay, so maybe I will put maybe I will take n in instead of, oh, n is not 0, obviously. Maybe instead of writing this like this, I will put a 2 here and n greater than 1. Are you okay with that? Okay? And I will do the same on the right. So I have a sum for m greater than 1 now, 2 times this, and a sum for n in z. So now n can be in z, in whole z of mz plus n to the k. Okay? And I will consider this function, fk of mz. So I will consider the function defined by the sum of n over z of z plus n to the k. Again, we can show that, and now maybe I will extend a little the weight here. I can show that this sum converge uniformly on every compact, also for k equal 2. So I will consider this sum like this. So this defines an holomorphic, since it, maybe I will write it, so this converge. I will write it like this. This converge absolutely and uniformly on every compact. On every compact, and maybe, and also not only on the upper of plane, but on C without the integer. Okay? So you get an holomorphic function on all C without the integer, and at every integer you see by the definition that you have a pole of order k. Okay? Okay. Also, you can see easily that from the definition that fk of z plus 1 is equal to fk of z. That is to say, it is one periodic function. And you can also see that fk of minus z is equal to fk of z. This is just looking at the sum. You sum over all integer, also relative integer, so you have those two formulas. And since it's periodic, you can say that there is a Q expansion like we saw for the modular form. So maybe I can recall this here. So you have a function fk in C, and since it is one periodic, there is another function which I will call gk maybe, or fk tilde. Okay, I choose to denote it gk from C star. Okay, and this is just the map which to Z maps to e pi z. And this is the Q expansion, what we call the Q expansion of fk. Okay? So I mean by this that fk of z is equal to gk of e2 ypz. Okay? And I will call q the variable here. Okay, since fk is holomorphic, gk is holomorphic, and since fk has a pole at every integer n, gk has a pole of order k at the image of every integer, that is to say 1. Okay? Okay, so that means that if there is a pole, that means that q minus 1 to the k gk is holomorphic. And now I can look at the limit at 0 of this function. Looking at the limit at 0 of this function is the same as looking at the limit when the imaginary part of fk of z tends to infinity. So I will look what happens when the image of z tends to infinity. And since there is this symmetric relation, this is the same than looking to minus infinity. Okay? And when you look at this, you see, because you have convergence results here, that you can just look at the limit here of this inside the sum, and this tends to 0. So you get that fk of z tends to 0 when the imaginary part tends to minus or plus infinity. So this implies in particular that when q tends to 0, this function dk tends to 0 too. Okay? So the q, so this is a holomorphic function which has, so you can extend this. This was holomorphic on C star, but now you can extend it to an holomorphic form also in 0. Okay? Of?
Definition of Q expansion.
The Q expansion I explained, so it's the same as here. I explained that when you have a modular form, maybe I can just write it here. When you have a modular form, so this is a function like this, and since it is one periodic, you can get a function g, okay, such that you compose like this, okay, and d is here the circle, the disk without the point 0, okay. It is in my first talk, or maybe in the talk of Valerio. I don't remember. Okay, so. So this means now that if I want to write the Q development, the development in series of this function, you have something which begin at 1. Okay, so this is something like this. So there is a Q in factor. So when I just divide by Q this function, you have something like that. Attends. 1 n minus 1. And what I want to say is that this function is still holomorphic. Maybe I can denote it by f if I want. F. Sorry. Now I want to take k equal to 2. At which point? Just no. Okay. So now I will focus on f2. Okay. On g2. And what I wanted to say is that this function f2, this is holomorphic, and what I wanted to say, I am lost. Okay, maybe I can just write it like this. Okay, I will write it like this. There are many ways to justify this, but I choose something very elementary. So I can look the development here. Okay? And you see that when Q tends to 0, this is bounded. Obviously, this is, okay, so bounded around 0. And if you compute F2 to Q minus 1, it is still equal to F2Q because F2 of minus Z is equal to F2Z. So this implies that F2 is also bounded when Q tends to infinity. Okay? Hence, you can apply the Liouville lemma, and you have an holomorphic function which is now holomorphic on all C because I removed the pole of G2 here. Okay? And so you get that F2 is a constant. So finally, I proved that, we proved that G2 is equal to G2 of Q is equal to a constant times Q to Q minus 1 to the 2. Okay? Okay, in his notes, Bass use more geometric arguments, and he used some geometry on the Riemann sphere. You can look at his notes, but I wanted to show you an elementary proof without speaking about the Riemann sphere. But it is really, obviously, very efficient. So in his note, on the Riemann sphere, which is compact, so everything goes easier, and you can, maybe I can just recall you that the sum of the order of the function, of a function, of G maybe, G2 is equal to 0, so you get almost immediately that you have a constant here. Okay? So now that we have this, we just want to compute C, and we can do that. This one. I don't know why it doesn't want me to erase the board. Maybe. Okay, thank you. I don't know if it's better. Okay. Maybe it is the pen, I don't know. Okay, I will do my possible. Oh, thank you. Okay, to compute C, we will just compute the beginning of the Laurent series of F2 at 0. Okay, thank you. I think it's okay. Okay, so recall that F2 is the sum for Z is the sum of over n of Z plus n to the k. So it begins like 1 over Z2 to the 2. 1 over Z2 plus something which is holomorph at 0. Okay? And it is also equal to G2 E2 E pi Z. So it's equal to C times E2 E pi Z minus 1 minus nothing over e to e pi z minus 1 to the 2. And we want to compute the Laurent series development at 0. Ah, nice. Thank you. And maybe I just recall you that e to e pi z is equal to 1 plus 2 e pi z plus 2 e pi z to the 2 over 2 plus etc. And if you do the computation slowly, you get c to 2 e pi z to the square, because the 1 disappeared here, times 1 minus something. Okay? So you get that you want, so there is a z2 here, and you want this coefficient to be equal to 1. So you get c is equal to 2 e pi to the square. Okay, so we finally showed the following formula. We finally showed that F2 is equal to C times this, minus 1 over 2, and maybe I will write, so C is equal to 2 e pi to the square. So this is 2 e pi to the square q over q minus 1 to the square. And this is the derivative of something like 1 over q minus 1. And you know that this is a power series, like sum of q to the n. So more or less, so this is the derivative of, maybe with some sign, but this is something like the derivative of this, okay, which is equal to sum q to the n. And with all details, if you write all the detail, you find that f to z is equal to 2 e pi to the square times the sum. For r greater than 1 or 0, it's the same, of n q to the n. Okay. Now that we have, so recall that to compute the Q development of GK, it's enough to compute the Q development of Fk. Okay? So we want Fk, not just F2. But Fk is almost the derivative, the k minus 1, k minus 2 derivative of this function. If you take the k minus 2 derivative of this function, you get a sign, minus k, to k minus 1 factorial, sum of n in z of z plus 1 to the k. And you get that this is equal to the k minus 2 derivative of this function. And if you compute it, you get 2 e pi to the 2 sum for n greater than 0 of 2 e pi n, 2 e pi n to the k minus 2 n qn. And hence, if you put all together, you get the lemma, which says that Fk of z is equal to 2 e pi to the k over k minus 1 factorial, sum of n greater than 0 of n k minus 1 q to the n. For q here is equal to 2 e pi z. Okay? And we will put it, obviously, in GK to obtain the Q development of GK. Let me do it for you, if I can erase those things. So recall that GK was the sum of 2 times this. So this was 1 over k. So this is zeta k, by the way. Okay? Plus 2, sum for m greater than 1 of fk mz. So now I can replace this term by the value. And if I do that, I have 2 zeta k plus 2 sum for m greater than 1 of this. So maybe I can put the constant before. So 2 epk over k minus 1. Sum for m greater than 1, sum for n greater than 0 of nk minus 1 q to z. So here z is equal to mz. I have to replace z here by mz, so you get q and m. Okay? Okay, and now I can make a change of variable calling this n, and you get 2 zeta k plus 2 epk over k minus 1, sum for n greater than 1, sum for n dividing n of n to the k minus 1, q to the n. And this is the sigma k minus 1 of n. Okay? Okay, so we have almost our formula. There is only something with this coefficient. In the formula, I told you that, so this is gk, by the way, and if I want ek, I have to divide by 2 zeta k, so I have 1 plus something like this, okay, over k minus 1, 2 zeta k, so the 2 will just go here. Okay, so I just have this coefficient, which is not exactly what I promised you, but this is a theorem, maybe I will call it a proposition. This is an Euler formula, famous Euler formula, that says that for k even, since it is famous, I want to state it. For k even, the value of zeta k are known, and they are minus 2e pi to the k over 2k factorial times bk, the Bernoulli number. So if you use this formula, you get the theorem from there. Okay? I will show again this formula. So you saw in the exercise sheet the classical formula, the classical proof of this formula. But we can again use our fk here for k equal to 1. So maybe the definition of fk I gave is not, has no sense if k is equal to 1, because the series does not converge, but I can be inspired by this formula to define another function this way, 1 over z plus sum for n in n. So let's say n greater than 1 of 1 over z plus n minus plus 1 over z minus n. Okay, if you look carefully at this, if you just make a stupid computation, you get 2z over z2 minus n2. So you again can show that this converges absolutely and uniformly on every compact of C. So you get another time an holomorphic function as before. at c without the integer. And if you compute the derivative of this, so maybe I should say that, I should write that this is again convergent uniformly on every compact. Okay, so you can take the derivative of this function inside the sum. And if you do that, you can see after a computation that the derivative of f1 is equal to minus f2. And since you already compute f2, you can compute f1, okay? By integrating. If you do that, so we just integrate. I don't write all the detail because I don't have time for this, but if you integrate this, you find that f1z is equal to 2 e pi over q minus 1 plus constant. Okay? And now I will write again the power series at z equal to 0. And doing this, I will get the constant here, and I will get the Euler formula. So I write the power series at 0, at z equal to 0. Okay, so recall maybe now the definition of the Bernoulli number. They are defined this way. The power series development of t over et minus 1 is equal to sum for n greater than 0 of bn over n factorial tn. Yes. Okay, so if I want to apply this to f1, I write f1 of z is equal to constants that I will compute later, times plus 1 over z, 2 epz over e to epz minus 1, and you get then this. Bn over n 2 epz to the n. Okay. But also, you know that you know the definition of f1z, so you can also write the power series from here. So you do that, and you just say that they are equal. So if you do that, you can write it like this. Okay, so f1z is equal to 1 over z plus 2z times the sum for m equal 1 of 1 over z2 minus m2. And I can put m2 in a factor here. So I get 1 over z plus 2z, sum for m greater than 1 of 1 over m2 times, maybe I have a minus 1 here, minus 1, m2 times 1 minus z over m to the 2. Okay? And now I have something of the form 1 over 1 minus something, so I can write it like a power series. Okay? This is the sum of this to the m, to the k. Sorry. You scared me. Thank you. Okay, just finish here. So you get, if you do the function slowly, you get 1 over z minus 2z, sum for m greater than 1, sum for k, which is not the weight now, k greater than 0 of z2k over m 2k plus 2. Okay. Again, with this sum here, I get a zeta function. So you get f1 of z is equal to 1 over z minus 2z. Oh yes, I wrote it like this, minus 2 over z sum, there is a zeta 2k plus 2, z to the 2k plus 2. Okay, so you exchange those two sums. You can do that because all converge uniformly, etc. And you get this. Okay, and when you say that this is equal to this guy here, you get two things. You get, you obtain first that the constant plus b1 times 2 e pi is equal to 0 because there is no coefficient for the constant term. There is no constant term here. Okay? Because this begins with 2k plus 2, so this begins at z equal 2 here, divided by z. Okay, so this begins with a z. So this is something like 1 over z plus something times z. So there is no constant term here, so you get this constant term here equal to 0. So you get constant. So b1, maybe I can tell you that b1 is minus 1 over 2. So you get the constant equal to yp, yp. And you also get the formula which says that f1 is equal to 2 e pi over e2 e pi z minus 1 plus e pi. So this is just the fact that the constant is equal to e pi. And by the way, this can be written like this. This is p cotangent pz. Okay, and this equality is a famous Euler's lemma that you showed also directly in the exercise. Okay? And also you get another thing doing this. You get that the fact that the coefficients have to be equal. Okay? Hence, you get the Euler's formula. You get that for k even. So you have to do some. You have to make a change of variable. So this is the new k. Okay, you get zeta k equal to what we wanted. Okay, so maybe I can write it again, and I will write it m instead of k maybe. Okay. This is the Euler formula I told you. Okay. So I don't have time to do more, unfortunately. But so just tell me one thing more. The usual, the classical proof of the theorems we saw here is like this. So from Euler lemma, so this lemma, usually what you get is that you get a formula for fk, derivating this k minus 1 times. So you can see in all classical books, like for instance Serre's book, you get fk derivating k minus 1 time, and you get then also, like in the exercise, the Euler formula. So this is a little different way to do this. Maybe I just write two examples, the more important one. E4 is equal to 1 plus 240 sum of sigma 3 of n Qn. And E6 is equal to 1 minus this Qn. Okay. And using the Q development, you can, I can't say nothing more. Okay. So there is some suspense for the, from what will follow tomorrow. And we will also see some things more in the exercise session. Thank you very much.